Imagine paying $1,000 a week just to rent a tiny apartment. Sounds crazy, right? But in 2025, it's a reality for many Australians. And if you think that's bad, wait until you hear about the other costs. Grocery prices have jumped by 15%, utility bills are higher than ever, and fuel prices seem to be constantly on the rise. But here's the big question: why is it happening? How did we get to a point where everyday essentials are now beyond the reach of average Australians? Is it just bad luck? Or are there deeper forces at play? And what's going to happen next? Can we expect it to get even worse? In this video, we're uncovering 10 shocking reasons why the cost of living in Australia has become absolutely out of control in 2025. From housing crises to government policies, we'll dig into every factor that's pushing prices sky high and leaving you wondering how you're supposed to make ends meet. But it's not all doom and gloom. By the end of this video, you'll understand what's going on and learn how to deal with the financial squeeze. Stick around, because some of these reasons will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about Australia's economy. Number 1. Skyrocketing housing prices. If you've been keeping an eye on Australia's housing market, you'll know just how insane prices have become. In 2025, the median house price in cities like Sydney and Melbourne has reached well over $1 million, and it's still climbing. But why is this happening? Why are so many Australians being locked out of the housing market with no hope of ever owning a home? The answer lies in a supply and demand crisis that's been years in the making. Australia simply isn't building enough homes to keep up with the growing population. Experts warn that we're facing a severe shortage of new properties, while demand from both locals and international buyers continues to surge. It's a case of too many people fighting for too few houses. But it doesn't stop there. Interest rate hikes over the past few years have only made things worse. Higher rates mean higher mortgage repayments, which in turn pushes up the cost of homes. This makes it even harder for first-time buyers to break into the market. So what's happening to those who can't afford to buy? Rent prices are soaring as well, with average rents in major cities hitting record highs. According to recent data, renters in Sydney are now paying an average of $700 per week, which is a significant chunk of many Australians' paychecks. With no clear end in sight, it's no wonder that housing affordability is one of the biggest concerns for Australians in 2025. Whether you're trying to buy, rent, or even just save for the future, the skyrocketing housing prices are a major financial burden. It's a crisis that's forcing many to rethink their living arrangements, and the situation shows no signs of improving anytime soon. Number 2. Interest rate hikes. If you're wondering why everything is becoming more expensive, look no further than the interest rate hikes that have been hitting Australians hard since 2022. In an effort to control inflation, the Reserve Bank of Australia has raised interest rates multiple times, making borrowing more expensive for both individuals and businesses. And while this might seem like a smart move on paper to curb inflation, the consequences for everyday Australians have been devastating. For homeowners, the impact is immediate. If you have a mortgage, you've probably noticed your repayments increasing significantly. For some, this could mean an extra $500 to $1,000 per month, which adds thousands of dollars to your yearly housing costs. For those already struggling to make ends meet, this could push them to the brink of financial distress. But it's not just homeowners who are feeling the sting. Renters are also paying the price. As borrowing becomes more expensive, property investors have less incentive to buy or renovate properties. Those who do remain in the market pass on their costs to tenants, pushing rent prices even higher. In some areas, rents have jumped by as much as 20% over the past year alone. The problem with these interest rate hikes is that while they aim to tackle inflation, they often hurt the average Australian the most, making it harder to save money, pay bills, or even afford the basics. And as the rates keep rising, it seems like the financial pressure will only keep building. Number 3. Rising grocery prices. If you've been doing your grocery shopping lately, you've probably noticed the shocking price hikes at the checkout. Grocery prices in Australia have surged by over 15% in 2025, leaving many families and individuals scrambling to adjust. But what's causing these sharp increases? Well, it's a combination of global supply chain disruptions, inflation, and higher fuel costs that's driving up the price of everything from bread to vegetables. Let's start with supply chain issues. The ripple effects of the COVID-19 pandemic are still being felt across the world. While countries have recovered to some extent, disruptions in shipping and delays in production are still delaying deliveries of key food items. This shortage in supply creates a demand-supply imbalance, which inevitably pushes prices higher. On top of that, rising fuel prices are another factor squeezing grocery budgets. Transporting goods across the country requires fuel, and as the price of petrol and diesel increases, so does the cost of delivering food to your local supermarket, and those costs are inevitably passed down to the consumer. Whether it's the cost of fresh produce or processed goods, rising fuel costs are contributing to the escalating price tags. But it's not just transportation costs. Farmers are also feeling the pinch. Extreme weather events like floods and droughts have become more frequent, devastating crops and creating shortages of certain food items. Insurance costs for farmers have also risen, adding extra pressure on them to maintain profits, which gets passed on to consumers as higher prices. Number 4, inflation. In 2025, inflation is a major culprit behind the skyrocketing cost of living in Australia. You've probably noticed it already. Prices across the board, from food to transportation, have steadily risen, and your paycheck just doesn't seem to stretch as far as it used to. So why is inflation hitting so hard this year? First off, let's define inflation. It's the rate at which the general price of goods and services rises, leading to a decrease in purchasing power. Simply put, the money you have today buys less tomorrow. In Australia, inflation has been running consistently above 5% over the past year, making everything from your daily coffee to your electricity bill more expensive. So, what's driving it? One major factor is the global economic uncertainty. With supply chain issues, rising energy prices, and lingering effects from the pandemic, the world economy is still in a fragile state. This means that costs for raw materials like oil and gas have been rising, and as the price of these essential resources climbs, it leads to higher production and transportation costs, which are then passed on to the consumer. But it's not just about global issues. Local factors also contribute to inflation in Australia. Wage growth hasn't kept pace with inflation, meaning that even though people may be earning more, it's not enough to keep up with rising prices. For many, this means they're feeling the financial squeeze harder than ever before. To survive in this environment, you'll need to adapt and find ways to budget smarter and stretch your dollar further. Number 5, increased energy costs. Energy prices in Australia are through the roof in 2025, and they're impacting every part of your life, from the cost of keeping your home warm in winter to the electricity you use to power your devices. The sharp rise in electricity and gas bills is not just a result of one factor, but a series of interconnected issues that have hit the nation hard. First, let's talk about global energy markets. As the world shifts toward more sustainable energy sources, the transition hasn't been smooth. Fossil fuel prices, especially natural gas, have been extremely volatile, and countries that rely on these resources are feeling the pinch. Australia, as an energy exporter, is still experiencing fluctuating prices that make local energy bills more expensive. On top of that, climate change has added another layer of pressure. Increased extreme weather events like heat waves and storms have disrupted energy infrastructure, resulting in higher maintenance costs for energy providers. This makes it more expensive for Australians to access the energy they need. So, what does this mean for you? Higher electricity bills, especially during peak seasons. It's no wonder Australians are feeling squeezed when it comes to their monthly utility costs. There are ways to reduce your energy consumption and costs, like investing in solar panels, using energy-efficient appliances, and being mindful of your electricity usage. We've put a ton of effort into bringing you this valuable information, and now we want to hear from you. How are rising costs affecting your day-to-day life? Drop a comment below and let's get the conversation started. And hey, don't forget, one click is all it takes to subscribe to our channel for more in-depth insights like this. Your support means the world. Number 6, labor shortages and wage stagnation. In 2025, Australians are facing a serious issue that's hitting both consumers and businesses hard: labor shortages. From hospitality to healthcare, industries across the country are struggling to fill positions, and this imbalance is contributing directly to the rising cost of living. Let's break it down. When there aren't enough workers to meet demand, employers are forced to raise wages to attract talent. But here's the problem. While wages may be going up in certain sectors, they're not keeping pace with inflation. The result? Many Australians are seeing wage stagnation, where their paychecks are growing, but not fast enough to cover the increasing cost of goods and services. In industries like hospitality and retail, which are especially reliant on low-wage workers, Businesses are struggling to operate efficiently. Shortages in staff mean longer hours for existing employees, lower service quality, and in some cases, increased prices to compensate for operational challenges. These higher prices are then passed on to consumers, leaving everyone with a heavier financial burden. So, what does this mean for you? As businesses continue to struggle with staffing and labor costs rise, prices across many industries will remain high. It's a tough reality for many Australians, especially those trying to make ends meet while dealing with wage stagnation. To cope, Australians may need to explore side hustles, skill development, or even shift to industries where wage growth is more competitive. The key is staying adaptable in a job market that's in flux. Number 7. Cost of imports. Australia is a nation heavily reliant on imports, from electronics to clothing to even the food on our tables. And in 2025, the cost of these imported goods has been steadily rising, thanks to fluctuating currency exchange rates, global shipping delays, and increasing international prices. But why is this happening, and what does it mean for your wallet? First, let's talk about currency fluctuations. The Australian dollar has been weakening against major currencies like the US dollar and the euro. When the value of the Australian dollar drops, it takes more money to purchase goods from overseas. This means that products like tech gadgets, fashion items, and even internationally sourced food are now more expensive than ever. On top of that, global shipping issues continue to create a significant impact on import prices. The shipping industry is still struggling with port congestion, labor shortages, and increased fuel costs, all of which contribute to longer delivery times and higher freight charges. These increased shipping costs are then passed down to consumers in the form of higher prices for imported goods. So, what does all this mean for you? Everything from the latest smartphone to your favorite imported snack will likely cost more. And with the Australian dollar showing no signs of improving anytime soon, the price of imports is expected to stay high, putting more strain on household budgets. To save, consider buying locally made products or prioritizing Australian-made alternatives when shopping for goods. This can help reduce your dependence on expensive imports and keep costs lower. Number 8. Unemployment rate drop, but at a cost. While a low unemployment rate is typically seen as a good thing, in Australia's case, it's contributing to the rising cost of living in unexpected ways. Yes, it's true that fewer Australians are out of work in 2025. But this seemingly positive statistic is hiding a complex issue that's impacting everyday life. First, let's look at how a low unemployment rate affects wages and prices. On the surface, more people employed should mean a stronger economy, right? However, with fewer people available to work, businesses are finding it harder to fill positions. As a result, employers are raising wages to attract workers, which sounds great for employees, but it leads to a cost-push inflation. With fewer workers available, businesses are under pressure to raise wages, but they can't keep up with skyrocketing operational costs. Moreover, while unemployment may be low, job quality isn't necessarily improving. Many of the jobs created in this environment are temporary or low-wage positions, offering little stability or growth. This means that despite having more people employed, many Australians are still struggling to make ends meet. In fact, many are working multiple jobs just to maintain their standard of living. In short, while a low unemployment rate might seem like a win, it's contributing to inflationary pressures that are making life more expensive for everyone. The imbalance between supply and demand in the labor market is driving up costs in multiple sectors, adding to the financial strain many Australians are facing. Number 9. Global supply chain disruptions. If you've ever waited weeks for a product to arrive or noticed that certain items are out of stock, you're not alone. Global supply chain disruptions have been a key factor behind the rising cost of living in Australia throughout 2025. But what exactly is happening on a global scale that's affecting your everyday purchases? It all starts with the global interconnectedness of the economy. In today's world, goods aren't just made and sold within a single country. They're produced, packaged, and shipped from all over the world. When something goes wrong in one part of the world, it can trigger a ripple effect that impacts prices everywhere, including Australia. The COVID-19 pandemic played a huge role in this. Although we're past the height of the pandemic, its lingering effects on production schedules, shipping routes, and labor availability are still being felt in 2025. Factories in key manufacturing countries like China are still dealing with slowdowns, and shipping containers are often stuck at congested ports, unable to make their way to Australia in a timely manner. One of the most notable examples is the impact on electronics. Shortages of semiconductor chips, used in everything from smartphones to cars, have caused delays and price hikes in a wide range of products. This shortage also affects industries in Australia that depend on imported electronics, driving up local prices. To navigate this, it's a good idea to plan ahead for purchases, consider local alternatives, and be prepared for potential delays or higher prices in the near future. Global disruptions are beyond our control, but being proactive can help you avoid paying even higher prices down the road. Number 10. Government policies and taxes. Government policies and taxes might not be the first thing that comes to mind when you think about rising costs, but in 2025, they are playing a significant role in pushing prices higher across Australia. While these policies are often put in place to address broader societal issues like climate change or income inequality, they can also have unintended consequences that hit your wallet. One of the most notable areas is environmental regulations. As Australia works toward meeting its climate goals, the government has introduced a range of policies aimed at reducing carbon emissions and encouraging sustainability. However, these policies often come with higher costs for businesses, which then pass those costs on to consumers. For example, carbon taxes or regulations on energy efficiency can raise production costs, particularly in industries like manufacturing and transport. These increased costs are often reflected in the prices of everyday goods, from food to household products. Another important factor is the housing policies implemented by both state and federal governments. While some initiatives aim to make housing more affordable, others, like increased property taxes or zoning restrictions, can inadvertently drive up the cost of real estate. This directly impacts renters and potential homebuyers, making it harder for many Australians to find affordable housing. In the end, while government policies and taxes are essential for addressing long-term societal challenges, they also come with financial burdens in the short term. As we've seen, the rising cost of living in Australia in 2025 is a complex web of factors, all contributing to the financial strain many of us are feeling. From skyrocketing housing prices and soaring grocery bills to government policies and labor shortages, it's clear that the challenges are mounting. But it's not all doom and gloom. By staying informed and making smarter financial choices, we can navigate this difficult period together. Now, creating videos like this takes immense effort. We dive deep into research, analyze complex issues, and work hard to present the truth in a way that's both clear and relatable. It's not easy, but we're committed to bringing you the information that can empower you to make better decisions for your future. So, if you found this video insightful, I'm asking for your support. Please hit that subscribe button. It's just one click, but it means the world to us. By subscribing, you'll get more of these in-depth, thoughtful videos that help you understand the forces shaping your world. This channel isn't just about content. It's about creating a community where we all face these challenges together. Your subscription fuels the work we do and helps us keep going, making videos that make a difference in your life. So please subscribe now and join us as we continue to tackle the issues that matter most. Thank you for your support. Together we can navigate this challenging time.